Hello, everyone. This is Tuesday evening. I'm getting later with these, but I think next week is going to be on time. Right now, it is Tuesday evening on the 7th, and this is going to be the video for the announcement for the end of week 6, beginning of week 7. All right. So as usual, I've got a couple things. In particular, I've got 3 things for this video that I want to mention. The one that's usual, the intro and the outro for the stuff that we did last week and this week. Part 2, a bunch of things, exam 1, that I need to sort of spell out for everybody. And the third point is class communication, okay? So let me start with intro, outro. All of last week, you did exam 1, okay? And that was a mix of the practice exam that did the big, the proper work week, and then exam 1, which was the weekend. So you, for the most part, everybody did their exam either Saturday or Sunday, okay? That's what we did last week. This week, you guys are starting chapter 4, okay? So chapter 2 and 3 essentially is the theory behind the derivative. That's all we were doing, okay? In particular, how to take a derivative, right? And what the derivative means, okay? That's what we've been doing for all of chapter 2, chapter 3, okay? So at this point in the semester, for the most part, right, I should be able to grab any function I can think of, right, throw it at you, and you should be semi-familiar with how to take its derivative, okay? We haven't done anything with the derivative other than take the derivative of this, take the derivative of that. What's this derivative? How do you use this derivative here? That is it. That's all we did, okay? That was all chapter 2 and 3, just plain old how to take a derivative, okay? Sort of like the technicality of it, right? Okay, just getting the technique down. Okay, chapter 4 deals with applications of derivatives. Okay, we know how to take a derivative now, right? So now we're going to see how far we can stretch the idea of a derivative. So the first 2 that we're going to do is related rates and linear approximations and differentials. Okay, related rates. It's exactly how you think it is. Sometimes, okay. Not only do we know that we can create functions that relate to different variables. Okay. So, for example, a time, right, and a volume, right? Sorry, a radius and a volume. Does that make sense? Radius and a volume. Okay. What if one of these two things is changing, right? So let's say the radius is getting bigger over a set number of time, right? What happens to our volume? Okay, so then that means there are rates, right, in between these 2 things that might be related, okay? And in order to find, if we know the rate of one, right, we can find the rate of the other very precisely. And we use calculus to do that, okay? That is section 4.1. That's why we call it related rates, okay? Section 4.2 gets into a little bit more of an application toward computer science, linear approximations and differentials. Turns out it's not anything you haven't seen before. 4.2 is essentially finding equations of tangent lines, okay, which is, like I said, nothing you haven't seen before. But then we can use that equation to approximate values that are very close to the point that we want, okay? So much so that they're not too far off from the actual value from the function. So we can use the equation of the tangent lines to approximate values of our function, okay? That's all just from derivatives. Hopefully you guys see the idea here that we're using the derivative to as an application, right, for something else, okay? All right, that was intro and outro for the stuff from last week and this week, okay? Item 2 is basically all things exam 1, okay? So I think as I mentioned in my previous video, In this class, I've taught this class online many times, multiple times. And every time that I teach this class, there is a handful of students. I can definitely tell. Okay? If I were to show you their work, you would be able to tell that they use ChatGPT. They use some form of AI, some form of computational intelligence of some sort to provide solutions to their exam. Okay. The math department, for the longest time, did not have a method of flagging that kind of work. This last summer, we all got access, the math department, all the departments actually, got the access to HonorLock, and we're going to use it. We're going to use it. If you guys looked at exam one, there were directions there, right? That you couldn't use certain things, and in particular, ChatGPT, Wolfram Alpha, Google Gemini, Copilot, right? All of those AI softwares, you guys aren't supposed to be able to use it on a test, one. And two, there was no way for anybody to find out who was on the other end of the computer taking the exam, okay? So all of this stuff, all of these ways to circumvent going through the rigor of the course and receiving the grade that everybody deserves, right? That's slowly going away. That's the reason why we have all of them, okay? So about exam one, I must have an instance of HonorLock on your test in order for me to provide you a grade, okay? If I don't have an instance of HonorLock for your grade, I will have to give you a 0, okay? Without that, without an instance of HonorLock that shows me that you took the test at the time that you did, without and checking that you were the one that was behind the computer, and that you weren't using any of the outside sources for solutions for the problems that were on your test, right? I cannot give you a grade other than 0, okay? That brings me to the next point. This is the thing that I've actually gotten more questions on. It's the write-up, okay? Unfortunately, the system that I use to give you guys the test either gives you full points or no points. It does not know partial credit, okay? That's the point of the write-up. So after the test, right, after you were done with your 2-hour test, I gave everybody 15 minutes to turn in the write-up to their test, okay? I will use the write-up, and I will look at your solution that you wrote up and match it up with the solution for the exam itself, okay? And I can overwrite the grade that you got on a particular problem and give you partial credit. So this has already been emailed to me. Oh no, I missed a negative on my answer, right? So the thing gave me a 0. Now what? That's what the write-up is for. If you missed just a negative on the answer and your solution on your write-up is entirely correct, I'll give you a 9.5 out of 10. I can go back in there and rewrite the score for you, okay? But the write-up must have been turned in 15 minutes after the end of the test, okay? I'll be semi-strict with that, okay? If you turned it in within 15 minutes, you're solid, you're good. 20 minutes, that's pushing it. 25 minutes, you're pushing it a little too far, okay? So I think something around 25 minutes, I'm gonna start questioning after that, okay? And the reason why is because 25 minutes for you to turn in pictures of your work that you've been doing for your lecture questions, right? I think that's more than enough time. Any more than that, okay? Any more than that, and it will be seen as you giving yourself additional time on that test, okay? I have had this happen before in a previous Calculus 1 online course, that a student, multiple students over the course of the times that I've been teaching this class online, they would take the 2 hour test. They'll take an hour on it. Okay, not a big deal, but they wouldn't turn in their write-up for another 4 hours, right? And lo and behold, their write-up is entirely correct, but their exam score is, a 20%, a 15%. Okay, you guys see how that sounds fishy on my end? Okay, so just keep that in mind. The rules are in place for reasons. Okay, collect all these reasons and try to make policies that make most sense for everybody. To the point where if you're doing the work, you have nothing to worry about. If you weren't doing the work, though, right? These rules are there to catch, unfortunately. Okay. All right, that is exam one. All things exam one. The last thing I wanted to talk about is communication. Okay. I am really good at emails. For now, I think I answer everybody within 1 or 2 days. Okay. I don't have any outstanding emails from this class up to now. Okay. And I'm also in the math lab every day from about 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock every day. So you can feasibly come into the tutoring center in the math department on the Pittsburgh campus and find me. Okay. If you ever need to talk to me, okay, I'm there. Okay. Which brings up a second communication, pronto. It seems like the last time I looked, I'm not gonna kid you guys. The last time I looked at pronto, we needed to activate it for every single course, and it was a long, drawn-out process. And I literally said, "Nope, forget that. I'm not gonna do it. I'd rather just stick to emails." That was the last time I looked at it was maybe 4 years ago. Okay. But turns out now Pronto is activated flat out at the beginning of every semester for every class. Woo, okay. So it turns out you guys were actually talking to each other on Pronto, and I had no idea of it. Okay. I've picked it up. It automatically pops up for me, and even better, and I was looking at this, whenever I'm on Pronto, it'll change the little circle on myself at least, to say that I'm actually there and I'm available. So start using Pronto now. Okay. I'm there no matter what. And like I said in the previous email, I also have my link to my Zoom room. This Zoom. I know this is a recording, but I'm doing this through Zoom. It has a link to my Zoom room that if you click on it, okay, it will send me an email that says this person's in my waiting room. Okay. And I usually have my cell phone. I usually have my email open in front of me. So if you click on that link for my Zoom room, it'll send me an email saying that you're there. Okay. If I can get there, right between 12 and 2 in the afternoon, right? Then I'll show up. I'll be right there. Okay. If it's not during that 12 to 2 time, I'll at least send you an email back saying like I can't make it right now. Okay. We can move it to another day. Okay. That's at least how can I say it? The closest to in person that you can get to me without actually coming to my office hours or coming to the tutoring lab. Okay. All right. I believe that is it. That's all I got for you guys for today. As always, right? Send me an email. Now you can use Pronto. Come find me in the tutoring lab if you got any questions. Okay. Besides that, happy studying.